Welcome to a new episode of TTG Conversations 5 Questions video series. This episode is all about air travel recovery, and taking us through this topic is Rashid Al Ardha, Country Manager for Singapore and Brunei with Emirates. So Rashid has been with Emirates for 15 years, managing multiple countries in Africa, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia, including Indonesia and Singapore. So he's usually based in Singapore, but here he is dialing in from Dubai. Welcome, Rashid. Thank you so much for giving us your time.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you for having me.
Now, I've got 5 questions for you, and here's the first. New year, new hopes, new dreams. So let's talk about the positive aviation trends that are surfacing now and into 2021, and which will forever change air travel. Will you tell us about that?
Yeah, we're going through difficult times now. There definitely has been change in the aviation industry since we're hugely affected by this pandemic. There are some temporary changes that happened during the pandemic and that continue until today, but may not continue in the future. And there are some permanent trends that we may see continue post the pandemic. A temporary change, for example, is social distancing on aircraft, where airlines block some seats to a distance between groups of passengers or individual passengers. But let's focus on the long-term trends that we expect to continue. One is enhanced safety measures in the aviation industry. Airlines are concerned with what the passengers are concerned with today. So the passengers' main priorities are safety. They want to ensure that there are COVID screening stations at the airport. They want to ensure that all passengers wear masks on board. They want to ensure that there's social distancing on board the aircraft. So we see airlines heightening their safety and precautionary measures. Another trend is the rise of touchless travel. There's an accelerated attempt from airlines to integrate technology advancements in the passenger's journey. We see a huge use of kiosks. There are biometric pathways introduced in different countries, in different airports around the world, including Dubai airport. There's digitization of reading materials, menus. So this is another trend that we may see continue in the future. Another trend is pandemic preparedness. Passengers want to know that they're safe if they travel. So a lot of airlines are offering ancillary insurance to be purchased or for free, like Emirates. We offer it for free when you purchase an Emirates ticket. This way you can assure or reassure the passenger that, God forbid, if anything happens and they contract the virus abroad, that they're covered for medical expenses and quarantine. Another trend that we see now that may continue also in the future is the purchase of flexible tickets. Passengers would like to have the flexibility or the option to change their dates of travel, to refund their tickets if required, keep their tickets for a longer period after travel. So these are the major trends that we see in the market.
Okay. Now, you spoke about how Emirates is offering free COVID covers for every ticket purchase. Can you tell me how else Emirates is responding to those trends that you have projected?
Yeah. We at Emirates take our passengers and employees' well-being very seriously. And to start with, if we talk about the safety measures that we have taken since the beginning of the pandemic. First of all, we installed HEPA air filters on board. These air filters eliminate almost 100% of viruses, germs, allergens, anything that could spread on board. We have also required passengers to wear masks at all times on board. Our cabin crew wear full personal protective equipment, PPEs, on board. Everything is hygienically sealed: blankets, pillows, cutlery is sterilized and also hygienically sealed. We actually have been rated as the safest or the safest airline during the COVID pandemic, safest airline to respond to the COVID pandemic by the Safe Travel Barometer, which is an excellent achievement for us, and it crowns the efforts that have been taken by Emirates to minimize or to control in some sort the pandemic. If we look at the touchless travel, we've introduced a biometric pathway in Dubai Airport, Terminal 3, which is Emirates dedicated. So basically, passengers can avoid interaction with other people or physically touching equipment or screens or things during their journey. Also, immigration procedures are cleared through this biometric pathway. We've also digitized our reading materials. Our menus are available on the Emirates app pre-departure and during your flight, whether online or offline. So we have taken serious steps into the digitization of the aviation industry. Furthermore, like I mentioned earlier, in the pandemic preparedness, we were the first airline to offer a free COVID insurance in the world. This continues until the 31st of January for all tickets purchased until the 31st of January 2021. But keep on the lookout for an extension of this or maybe a change in this. Also, further to this, we were talking about the fourth trend that we are also forefronting, if I may, which is the flexibility of tickets. So all passengers who were affected by changes in their trip or interruptions due to COVID have the flexibility to change their bookings without charges, to refund their tickets without charges, or even if they choose to maintain their tickets for 2 years ahead, that's also an option that we give them. So because we know that passengers today are very reluctant given the different responses to the pandemic around the world. So we are trying to make it easier for them and reassure them that traveling with us will be easier.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. You know, air travel is instrumental in the revival of global travel and tourism. However, travel restrictions are still prevalent across the world. In your opinion, which routes must reopen soon for true recovery to begin, and why?
To be completely honest, specifying routes to be reopened is very difficult at this stage. Mm-hmm. Because, as I mentioned, government's responses to the pandemic have differed from country to another, from region to another. Countries getting into lockdown, the countries opening up and going back into lockdown. So the dynamics are very complex today in the travel industry. However, we would like to see more collaboration and cooperation between airlines and government bodies to make this process easier and slowly get back into sustainable recovery. Because we don't want something to happen suddenly and then also shut down suddenly. So there needs to be a joint effort between airlines and governments to make sure that whatever we introduce is sustained for the future.
Okay, much of the focus around travel and tourism crisis is on how the pandemic has crushed the aviation industry, that airlines are at the mercy of the pandemic. But Emirates has a different belief, that the airlines have a critical impact on the world during this crisis. Will you elaborate on that?
Yeah. The aviation industry was one of the hardest hit industries in the world. The losses are phenomenal, and we had to react to this. We play an instrumental role in today's situation, if I may. We, for example, connected and still connect economies. We are connecting places. We're connecting healthcare. We're connecting people. If we talk about economies, Emirates has moved essential workers, essential medications, pharmaceuticals, personal protective equipment since day one. Emirates Sky Cargo has operated 35 routes at the beginning of the pandemic when everyone was grounding their aircraft, and today are operating 135 scheduled routes. We have refitted aircraft to fit cargo in the passenger hold in the overhead compartments. We have removed seats in economy class to cater for more cargo. So the role that Emirates played and continues to play in the pandemic today is absolutely crucial, especially now with the introduction of the vaccine. We have reopened our Sky Central cargo hub. This is in DWC, which is the second airport in Dubai. And this has been open and dedicated for the vaccine and the logistics of the vaccine. A team has been hired or dedicated to the vaccine movement because it is a very crucial movement nowadays. Connecting people, also bringing back stranded passengers to their homes to join their families. We've worked with consulates, embassies, governments on charter flights and scheduled flights to move back their citizens to their countries. So I think airlines are pivotal in this process. Also, if we talk about healthcare, like I said, the movement of the vaccine from the different manufacturers around the world to the different buying countries around the world has been huge. Even before that, the movement of the PPEs, the movement of food, the movement of raw materials that are used in our everyday manufacturing. So there has been an orchestrated effort to make sure to ease this pandemic to the people as much as possible, but it will remain hard. But you can do things to improve on that. And last but not least, connecting places. If we take Dubai as an example, Dubai has opened up its airport, Dubai International Airport, on the 15th of June for transferring passengers, for connecting passengers. And Dubai has opened up for tourists on the 7th of July. The extreme safety measures are taken. You need to observe social distancing at all times. There are reduced numbers of visitors at retail stores or controlled number of visitors. People need to wear masks all the time. Hygiene or sanitizers are available at every touch point that you may have during your day. So we're trying, like I said earlier, to get onto the route of recovery which is difficult, but it has at least begun here in Dubai.
Great. One of the hottest questions on every traveler's mind continues to be this, how will airfares look as the world begin to travel? With limited supply, will limited supply price air travel so out of reach that very few consumers are able to support the industry's revival and therefore slow down recovery?
That's a very good question. Regarding airfares, we don't expect airfares to increase. However, airfares are governed by supply and demand. They are governed by how busy the route is or a specific flight is. However, we don't see an increase in airfares today, obviously because of the reluctance, because of the border restrictions and reluctance to travel. But on the contrary, we see airlines offering very competitive pricing on different routes, including Emirates. Also very generous rebooking rules or fare rules, and I don't expect an overall increase in airfares in the near future. However, you may find higher fares on routes to countries that are open for tourism, and there's big demand. So it's always going to be governed by competitiveness and supply and demand.
Okay, and that's all the 5 questions I have for you, Rashid. Thank you so much for giving us your time.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you for having me. Take care.
Yeah, and to everyone, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you on the next episode of 5 Questions video series. Goodbye.